Well, hello, and hopefully we're recording. I promised that I would put together a bit of a presentation on the stuff I've been doing about Transplant. And I gathered an awful lot of information from you guys and girls on Facebook in the various renal groups in this country and abroad. So thank you for what you've done contributing to this. So it's by patients, it's for patients, and it's with the help of an amazing NHS renal transplant team who are going to be helping me and guiding me through the process of producing this booklet. I don't know about you, but when I left hospital, I left with a rather large stack of leaflets. Light reading, probably, but I must admit they became my go-to leaflets. I'm not sure whether sometimes they caused me more worry than comfort, but moving on. So the questions that I asked have been trying to find out what things do perturb us, what things do confuse us. And one of the first ones was blood test consequences. And I asked lots of questions, and the team at Derriford have said, if you can identify some key questions, and what we're going to do is with the consultants, is they will look through and see the broad level of questions that people are asking. And I've tried to pick out some of the salient points so they haven't got to read all of it. And hopefully they're going to be able to respond. And then I'm either going to be able to produce a booklet or a video like this, but with more answers. But it's giving you questions that you might have been embarrassed to ask. Those that you think, oh no, that's stupid to do that. But I'll go through the first one in bit by bit. But then what I suggest you do is, whilst you're watching this video, just pause each slide and read the questions in black. I'm just going to introduce the questions in red on each of the slides. Bear with me, it's not going to be a massively long video, but there's a lot to take in. So, you know, you've got it, you can save it, you can watch it again and again on YouTube. So the blood test consequences, the observations I had were my creatinine has been steadily rising very slowly whilst bouncing around. Consultant isn't worried, but I might need a biopsy at some point. So that fills you with sort of a bit of worry, doesn't it? The consultant's not worried, but, and it's that, but, dot, dot, dot. So although I feel good, I'm starting to get anxious every time I get results on patient review because I don't know where the results are leading. And today's the 21st of June when I'm recording this. I had my bloods taken this morning, ready for a telephone review on Thursday. Am I worried about it? Yes, of course I am. I'm, what now, 15 months in transplanted? Every moment, as soon as the bloods have been taken, I'm waiting for patient view, or patient knows best now, to message me during the middle of the night to say the results are in, and then scramble and try and work out which results I'm looking at. I think something that surprised me was how different your creatinine levels can be from one day to the next, depending on your blood pressure, how much fluid you drank, how tight your clothes could be, etc. You will likely worry about blood results, tests, biopsies, rejection a lot. These are all direct quotes. Don't miss blood tests because it's the only way to track its condition. I never thought that I would want to have more blood tests than what my renal team asked me to have. But I like to make sure I have a blood test to check how my kidney is doing every 6 to 8 weeks. I like to do this for my own peace of mind and mental health. I have the patient view app, so it's great for me to check my results the next day and have a sense of how I'm doing. The consultant says, oh, well, as recent results are good, we'll leave things as they are. So here's a few of the questions that I've actually just put into red so the consultants will see those. Can you explain to me the reason for doing blood tests and how the results affect me? Are there normal ranges that you look for? How can I find out what the results are? What can I do before, during, and after transplant to help my bloods and kidney as much as I can? If something is wrong, how quickly will it be sorted out? We've all lived through COVID-19 for what, 2 and a bit years now? And so some of the questions you can see there if you pause it. But the ones that I want the consultants perhaps to answer are, now we're told that COVID is less infectious, can I start mixing in public more and not bother wearing a mask? If I catch COVID, would it mean that I would not go on the transplant list or be suspended from it? Thinking of those that are before having the transplant. If I got the call and found on arrival that I was positive for COVID, would the transplant go ahead? Do vaccinations still work after my transplant with the anti-rejection drugs I take? And what are the chances I might die of COVID complications before, during, and after the transplant? And are you able to see patients virtually unless treatment is required? The change of routine impacts on all of us. And condensed is, what advice can you give around adapting to changes in routine? And they are massive, aren't they, these changes? And is there any ongoing help available for me and family to help us come to terms with it all? I suppose there I'm nudging at, are there renal social workers? Are there renal clinical psychologists? I mean, we've got the great help of the Kidney Care UK counsellors, advocates. They're fantastic. But I wonder if there's even more. Also, am I able to safely adjust medication timings to suit my lifestyle? I was given a spreadsheet which shows my times to take tablets and whether to take them with or without food. And, I've shared it with my renal pharmacist and she's been brilliant. And so I know that I'm doing it at the right times. Do you have counsellors available to speak with my family and carers to help them in the adjustments, as I've said before? Just looking at the observation, the first month after the transplant are utterly tiring, as so many tests are involved. People will think you're cured. It's very frustrating. Looking at the continuity of care, am I allocated a specific renal consultant like I have a named GP? When review letters are sent to my GP, does the copy I receive include a summary that I'll be able to understand? All to do with plain, clear English? Especially when most of us probably got, hands up, who's got brain fog? Yep. The donor family, is someone available to help me communicate with the deceased donor's family? And does this overwhelmed feeling pass? Is there someone I can talk to about it? And they get so overwhelmed with the gratitude and find it hard to understand why my donor put themselves through an unnecessary operation to help me. That's from a live donor. For me, it's getting my head around somebody who had died had left instructions that they wanted their kidneys donated to other people. Wow. Doctor knows best. So general reassurance about the patient's voice. We hear that, the doctor knows best, and we probably don't feel comfortable asking questions. But I'll let you pause the video and read the one that the comments that one person gave to me, which are interesting. So the effect of children and loved ones, and this one's got quite a couple of pages. Getting back to family life, meeting the concerns and fears of children and immediate family. Seeking words of encouragement and allaying fears. Are there any resources? Are there family workers available? And I'll let you to a secret. Looking on my screen, I've got my little speech bubble up the top right-hand corner, which is covering up just the top little bit of the words I'm supposed to be reading. So just read them for yourself, those little bits that I'm missing. Explaining surgery. Mixed experiences I've seen through the comments. Perhaps some observations about the pre-surgery preparation process will be helpful. And continuing on from page 12, the main thing I didn't know, and was only until I was lying in bed ready for the transplant, it doesn't mean that they take out the kidneys you've got and put in the new one where they are. It's put in extra. So weird. And you think, gosh, surely you'd know that. No, that person's being massively honest. And it's those sort of questions that we feel stupid to ask. And yet we're probably more stupider if we don't ask them. Gratitude and guilt. Oh my goodness, this one I feel so much for. It's more regarding that emotional support, that expectation of such feelings. And you'll see on my Kidney Care UK Facebook and my I Hate Dialysis posts and other groups as well, that the headspace has been the hardest thing for me. Because doing all this booklet is not just for you, it's for me as well. I'm living with all of this and experiencing it, and I'm trying to work stuff out myself. Someone said, I'm still very grateful for the gift. No more dialysis every day. I was on hemo. No more restless necks, no cramp. every day, no fluid restriction. In fact, just the opposite. I drink at least 4 litres every day and no food restrictions. Well, apart from pate, soft cheese and oysters, which I'm not particularly fussed about anyway. So, plenty of pluses. Communication, the lack of clarity and checking understanding. You know, when somebody tells you something, they go, does that make sense? Do you follow me? Do you understand what we're saying? I was 3 months away from turning 19, and I mainly remember them using big words that I didn't understand. I wish they could have explained better. I've seen 2 different consultants. One said she considered me too old to cope with all that the transplant entails. I'm 68. The other one said it would double my life expectancy. Lack of clarity, lack of checking. And again, being open and having candor. This is when something goes wrong, being honest about it as a consultant. I would have liked to have known all the possible side effects of the medications. Patients will be coming to that in a moment. And again, pause, have a look through them, see what you think. Because again, these are what the renal team in Plymouth, and also I should be sharing it with Kidney Care UK and the Patient Council and lots of other renal chums around the country, and the KQIP Transplant First team that's looking in the Southwest. Anybody else you think you could share this with to get their feedback as healthcare professionals, do let me know, do send me some details. Medication. Easy to understand medication instructions and knowing the side effects and the risks. After the transplant, things can be hard, and it's essential for renal pharmacists to be involved and also that involvement ongoing. The main thing that usually gets you after the transplant is the amount of drugs you have to take. I remember after my transplant, I was taking, what, 20 or 30 pills 2 or 3 times a day. That slimmed down after a while, but it's real. I mean, for some people. Tell you what I'm finding is how difficult it is to, with myself, I don't know, my fingers are not as good as they used to be, trying to push the flipping tablets out of the bubble packs. Such a challenge. Anybody knows a simple way of doing it, please let me know. Put a comment in today's post. Again, more about the preparation for the medication side effects. More about showing the range of effects. Frightening stuff, you know, the steroids, what they did to them. Of course, they were saving you being rejected. Mental and emotional impact. 45% of respondents coped and commented about this. So how do we cope? What advice, what practical advice and support? You know, the impact is significant, and we don't realize that, I don't think, in advance. The toll on your mental health is hard. Nobody, absolutely nobody prepares you for it. And then when you don't feel immediately overjoyed, if you feel like the staff are gaslighting you, aren't happy with your transplant is working well, well, yes, I was happy, but I also felt like I was going insane for the first 3 months because of the drugs. Again, pause, have a look through it. And again, the emotional side, just how tearful you can be at the drop of a hat. And I'm a chap. And yeah, I cried at stuff now. If I watch Bambi on the telly, oh my goodness, I'm in buckets of tears. I become far more sensitive and less of a miserable beggar. Feeling overwhelmed by the whole transplant thing. Yes, I'm forever grateful for my transplant, and the initial aftercare was great, but I'm feeling lost in the hundreds of us all at the same clinic. And of course, COVID has made an impact on that as well. The orientation, you know, knowing what the heck's going to happen before the surgery is done, and then what to expect when you wake up, you know, the machines, the plumbing that's stuck inside of you, all of that stuff. And so again, pause, have a look, read it through. And what will be happening up until the discharge and thereafter at home? What can I expect? And then the post-surgery complications. What can go wrong? And how will it be treated? What are the risks? I too totally underestimated the whole thing, physically, psychologically, and the effect on my family and friends, and so on. Transplant went to plan, but I had rejection. but it was short-lived. And when the plan resumed. Post-transplant appointments, preparing for life after transport, living around hospital appointments. Actually, transport is one of those things, isn't it? Getting to and fro hospitals, especially in the early days when you're not feeling 100%. So there we go. Again, pause it, read them through. And the bit that I feeling properly disillusioned by the whole clinic setup recently and the lack of continuity with the same consultant. And so this is how I started it all. This is the social media post that I had. Again, pause it, read it. It's got an email address there, which is my renal research one. You'll see I've got a master's in social research, but with the brain fog and everything, I found this much harder to do. And all the questions, there's pages and pages that I've actually diluted or condensed down to this. In the background, you can hear Joey chirping. She's my companion. And so what is all about this? Transplant, the surgery, the bloods, the dialysis, the medication, and everything else. Biopsies. Praying. Your mind, your partner. Creatinine. Failing. On the list. Doctors. Process. And so that's me done with this. And there I am. And so I hope that was of some help. There's an awful lot more that I've got that will probably go into the booklet in the end. But that's the version I've sent out to the consultants at the moment. But please, if you can add any more to it, I'd be absolutely grateful. And yeah, thank you very much indeed. Keep safe. Keep in contact. We're all on the same journey, aren't we? Take care for now. Bye for now.